Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 238 of Red Wings Rant, where tirades and impassioned pleas for your Detroit Red Wings finally have a home. Mike, we're down to once a week because Red Wing wise, what else are we going to talk about? Got a draft. Oh, wait, did I spell Maddie's name right? I spelled his name right. All right, there we go. Topic of the show. Mike, should we draft Matthew Savoie? Arguably a top 10 prospect for this upcoming 2022 NHL Draft. I say arguably because Craig Button's got him. He's got him at number 17. Bob McKenzie has him at number 4, and Bob, of course, will get pretty close to lining everybody up exactly where they're going to go. So I still think it's possible for us to, Maddie's up there at number 2 on some of these rankings. Draft Prospects Hockey has him at number 2. Smart Hockey has him at number 6. Puck Authority number 4, and Elite Prospects number 9. Of course, the Red Wings drafting number 8. So I figured it was worthwhile. We got our first comment of the show. Mike, it came from you. No, we have another Mike watching. Absolutely pick Savoie. And I think that goes along the lines of where everybody's the top minds, right, in the NHL have. I think the consensus we could talk about, the consolidated rankings from Elite Prospects, has been at number 5. Mike, you're muted. I'm so sorry. Why do you let me?
Testing. 1, 2, 3. Matt, you can get away with a lot if you mute me the whole show.
I was kind of wondering,
think of all the arguments you could win.
He's pretty quiet today.
Hey, glad to be a part of the show. Really excited. I was unmuted today. This is kind of a hot button one, right? Are we still considering him a center?
Yeah, absolutely.
I saw three different resources call him a center, but I've also seen him treated as a wing. It's very confusing. I thought he was a center. So,
okay. We could get into it, right? How do we start this conversation, right? He's 5'9". Okay. I've been pretty adamant. I know everybody likes to draft tiny guys, but to Mike's point, that's where that could start to work against you. And yes, I know there's short centers, but when you're trying to make a guy's skill work for the NHL, sometimes gotta make it work in a different way. So I think that question is valid, but I will still say center right now as we speak. That's why he's in order right now for why we're talking about him and not a few other guys before him, is because he's potentially a center that'll be available to us. And with all of those high rankings, Mike, we come back to the height, 5'9", 179 pounds. We know he's good at hockey. There's the argument of, can he fall if if we follow Bob McKenzie's ranking, he's ranked number 4. Is he going to drop 4 spots to pick number 8? And at that point, do you pick him up?
You watch enough highlight videos of any of these guys, you start to think, you know what, this is our first pick. We try to, I know we talked about, whether or not you can bring one elite skill to the board or to the ice. Or do you have a bunch of, pretty good skills? Instead of having one A+, do you have some B+? It's looking to me like Savoie's falling into that second tier. Right? I don't know if he necessarily has any A+. That's why he's probably going to be available for us at number 8. But it kind of feels like the consensus is you are going to get an above average skater at the NHL level. It's probably going to be the same with his hockey sense. And it looks like he really gives a crap. And he's a pretty talented scorer, so far from what we've seen. So it looks like he has translatable skills at the NHL level. He's not necessarily just dominating, teenagers and Pee Wee players. It looks like he's actually going to be able to showcase that in Detroit.
I will. We're gonna take a look at some highlights in a second here, like we did last week, and we're gonna got to thank NHL Draft Pros because we're just gonna pull up their YouTube page and we'll take a look at some of the highlights they were looking at. So go ahead, head on over there, guys. NHL Draft Pros, give them a subscribe. They've only got 1,000 subscribers. We have less, but they're providing today's highlights. So go give them some love, like their video, subscribe. Any hoozles. Also, real quick, want to give some love to Johnny P.
Hey,
Johnny P, what's going
How you
on?
doing?
And he is all about Savoie. Let's go for it. All right. I wanted to catch you on that comment on what he's doing in the WHL, because I saw some highlights that I don't know if they will translate. I feel like, I don't know. We'll take a look, but I'm a little hesitant. I know the idea would be if he falls far enough, if he falls to number 8, again, that's me looking at Bob McKenzie calling him number 4, the consolidated rankings calling him number 5. So if he, Johnny P's performance art. What's up, performance art? You're now Johnny P. Oh man, where's my mouse? What did I just do? There it is.
Where'd you put your mouse? All right.
There it is. Johnny P. It's me.
It's me, performance art.
I love that. That's my new favorite comment. But anyway, it's just causing me pause. It's not anything where I'm like, I'm not going to draft Savoie, but it made me stop and rewatch a couple highlights, and I was, and I'll try and pull them up, but I was kind of like, is this really going to happen in the NHL? And it was a pass, and I'll try and find the highlight.
Am I talking to Matt or Craig Button?
Yeah, he's 17.
You look at the where the different publications have him ranked. I mean, he's all the way up at number 2 for some of these. My favorite one, he's number 8. I still like subscribing to The Athletic, but Matt and Craig Button apparently on board with each other. Got him all the way down at number 17. So Matt not sold on our new favorite 5'9" player.
I guess with the highlights I found, there's a lot of good. I would say there's some highlights that we can just kind of say, all right, this is really cool, but there's no way he's going to thread the one of the highlights, Mike. He threads the needle between somebody who's on their knee to block a pass, and it goes between their legs. It's a hell of a highlight to watch.
Yeah.
That is not happening in the
NHL players' legs are a lot longer. Impossible to get
They're
that.
thicker.
They're big, beefy legs in the NHL.
Yeah, too thick. Not happening. No. But I guess I just wanted to pull back on I think there is definitely a discrepancy talent-wise. And like when we were looking at Brad Lambert and we were saying, all right, he has tools that can be successful in the NHL, namely skating. You know who else has a couple of great skates underneath him? Matthew Savoie. So there's no reason I should look at Brad Lambert, get excited about his skating, and then not get excited about Savoie's ability. So that's unfair. So I'm just saying, I guess I'm really just, I'm going to fight you. I'm going to fight you on that comment, and maybe we'll pull up the highlight where I'm like, what the fuck was this? Like, it was just some super bogus defense.
And that's kind of the hardest part about trying to rank these guys. It's more like you just want to have a discussion about them, and then because I mean, it's impossible for you to have watched all of the Red Wing games alone, and those are on Bally Sports, which is easily accessible in Detroit. Let alone watch all of the Matthew Savoie games, in the minors, and really make an in-depth, educated opinion about a kid. But I mean, you could just kind of see some of the glimmers and the glimpses when you watch enough highlight videos. And I mean, he's putting up the stats. I think we kind of crave some speed. And it looks like this guy has it. It looks like he's got some goal scoring ability. But I'm pumped to get into these highlights and fight you to the death, especially now that I'm unmuted and I can defend myself.
Well, we want a quick shout out to Eric Johnson. He says,
Hi, guys. Love it, Eric. 420 somewhere, my man.
And again, ladies and gentlemen, performance art, who we refer to every episode, now Johnny P. Johnny P. Who was that player Mike was hot on last episode? You watched the highlights. What a skater. Last episode was about...
I know I was hot about Lambert.
Nazar was the last episode.
Nazar was the last one, but Lambert was the skater.
Oh, but Mike, got a big question from Johnny P. Mike, did you dye your hair?
No, what happened was I went kayaking for like 6 hours, and my skin's a different color, so now it makes my hair look a different color. So that's what happened, performance art.
Yeah, I look super pale right now because of the sun coming through. I'll tell you guys right now, I am a nice fleshy pink because I spent all of Sunday and Monday doing yard work, and I forgot to wear sunblock the first day, so I'm a gross pink color. So I'm not.
I thought you were going to say you're at the store buying that freshly pinked tuna that they like to put out for us.
I have, like, right now, it burns to, like, use my right arm.
Did you have to pick a black shirt to really offset the whiteness?
Yeah, this is probably a bad shirt to use for this.
Likewise, with my now brown skin and brown hair per Johnny P, I did wear the white Red Wing jersey to really make it pop. So
did that do anything? No. All right, nobody cares, right? We can move on.
Yeah, let's move.
Johnny P does confirm Lambert is
yeah.
His
Johnny,
boy,
you like that push off there, huh? That guy's got a great base when he pushes off on the skates. Whoop! He's gonna be powerful on that second line for the Red Wings. Can't wait.
Now, before we jump into the highlights, I was impressed by this. We actually have some advanced analytics. Mike, 60%,
this was stunning.
61% of the time when Savoie is on the ice, the shot attempts are in his team's favor. Very nice. I love this accurate pass percentage, 84%. His deke success, Mike, 71%.
Not since rookie level in NHL 94 have we seen that kind of success rate. Man, can't wait to see this guy.
Oh, man. Yeah, this is pretty crazy, this stuff. 4.8 points per 60, a 1.89 goals per 60. I mean, these are some pretty great numbers.
You know who stinks on the power play? The Red Wings. So look at that, huh?
Yeah.
4.8 action. I like that.
I did kind of like this. This was shared of WHL forwards. Matthew Savoie with his 1.39. Actually, what was that number? We just had that on the last page. Oh no, nothing matches. Oh, I'm sorry. This is points per game. Yes. Ranked with WHL forwards. Yeah, points per game right at the top there. 1.39. Better, Mike, Matty Savoie's 2022 numbers. Better than Matty Barzal and Braden Point.
Future Red Wing Braden Point.
Not as good. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Leon Draisaitl, Seth Jarvis, and Sam Reinhart. So, I'll just say it's a good company to be with. And it's just, it could also say some of these numbers don't necessarily lead to forever greatness. Some of them lead to like elite level, like your MVP status. Some are just going to be amazing at like the role that they're given. But yeah, this is a hell of a list. And if you would look at this list and kind of just say, wow, who passed up on any of these guys when you were drafting them? Especially with like Braden Point being on this list. So you're doing a hop and a skip better than Braden Point on this WHL forwards season ranking, point per game. Since they've been collecting this data, it's looking pretty good. So, I mean, these are all the things where it's like, all right, what catches your eye? Why should we start watching this guy? Why should we look at the highlights? And Mike, you mentioned it. It's tough to watch every single game. So That being said, now you can start looking at the highlights.
Let's
'cause
look
you've
at a
seen the
condensed.
production.
Let's look at a condensed greatest hits and see if he looks good.
Well, I did. Let's see what we got here. We've got, again, go to NHL Draft Pros. Give them a like. Give them a subscribe. I'm gonna make sure they're muted, only because it's easier for us to talk about them. Mike, NHL Draft Pros compared to Elite Prospects. Do you want to? I don't know if we want to bury the guy. Do you want to give a ranking of who gives more thorough, in-depth analysis?
I will say
of
the
the
Elite Prospects gentleman, their lead analyst. I think his last name is Louis. He gives a pretty thorough explanation of what he's looking at. On this resource, if you like hearing the word "boom," nice goal, then this is probably the video package for you. And I'm gonna be honest, if I was gonna pick one of those guys, maybe like shoot my wedding or one of my highlights, I would probably pick the latter. I don't need an in-depth discussion about like my kissing technique at a wedding, but once the lips lock, I would like to hear a boom, nice kiss.
Put the comments right here before we look at this highlight. Johnny P, as far as I can tell, Savoie's the guy if he's still available. It's not really a question, but Johnny goes on to say he won't be available. Eric Johnson, yep, I would want him if he's available. And I think that's probably the way to go, Mike. Like you said, I'm pulling a Craig button here. I might, you know what it might be?
What's that?
I might just be playing hard to get because I know it's not going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, I look at a Brad Lambert who gets 4 points in 26 games, and I'm like, ooh, oh, damn, Brad.
Sign me up.
4 points. Yeah. And then Matty Savoie pops 90 points in 59 games or whatever. A couple points against Sebastian Cossa in the playoffs, and I'm like, I don't know. You see how short he is?
We've already had Hoodler, Do we need another one?
Where were we? All right. So Savoie has got the puck. I'm going to kind of highlight him here with the mouse. Anybody listening to the podcast, what we're about to watch is a give and go where our boy Savoie actually, oh man, I might be sold on him right now just by realizing we could call him my boy Savoie.
Our boy Savoie.
Whew, oh boy, I'm getting hot myself. Whew, just thinking of the possibilities. All right.
Oh, I'm getting hungry. I'm having Chips Ahoy. But go ahead.
Wasn't that's Mr. Burns answering the phone? Ahoy,
ahoy.
Ahoy.
Yeah, did you ever hear that? The history behind it?
No, what is it?
The guy who invented the telephone, he had this wild idea that that's how everybody would greet each other. Everybody, like like radio calls, like when you're on a ship and you do Roger over and out, and that's the end of the call. He thought ahoy oy would be the way that everybody would open their phone calls.
So this was
the Simpsons doing some deep diving on the
Mr.
phone.
Burns.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah.
Mike, who chimed in earlier, his last name's Savoie.
Hey, Mike Savoie. You might get drafted.
Savoie is French. That would have been in my top 10 guesses.
For sure.
Yeah, I would have eventually come out.
It sounds like a cheese I can't afford.
Can I just say, when you guys give us these little ditties like Mike just threw in there, those are my favorite. I appreciate those. All right. So like I said, podcast listeners, we're watching a give and go. YouTube watchers, you're still not seeing it. You saw it one time and then I paused it. But you just got to keep an eye on the fact that this is Savoie. He's passing the puck to get this play moving. And he decides he wants to score. I mean, you talk about skating. This is crazy. I want to back this up so we can watch it one more time. I just the idea, and I think this is going to give us the opportunity to watch this twice. The idea that he activates this give and go and then just skates around three defenders. Now, that's one of the things that causes me pause when I'm like, all right, skill level, NHL.
Right. I mean, if that guy's going up against like Mo Sider in practice, there's no way that that's going to happen. But with that said, I mean, we just watched a playoff game that ended 8-6. So this is a spot where I could see Savoie like contributing even today, like on the fourth line. Maybe he would have peppered one in against Edmonton.
This one's another give and go play here. He's going to get the play going a little bit closer to the blue line. And I mean, this to me, like when we were watching Nazar and Lambert, where you could see the choice that they were making to fire off. And I like this because he's got to dance around a couple defenders and making all the power coming off his right side here to make sure that he's going to get around this next defender. Because he's already got it in his head. Like the instinct of a Savoie is start this play, head to the net. And to think that he's got the confidence too, that he's like the instinct is to make this play and the confidence to know with him having to dance around arguably three guys, but ultimately just getting around two guys and have to get the stick down and go in for the goal. It's crazy. And it's exciting too. I mean, to think about this level of skating ability, scoring ability, shooting, decision making on the offensive side is on its way to the NHL. This could be something too. I don't know. I think we might be seeing a guy that won't be too long of a wait. How do you feel about that? I mean, compared to what we've seen on Brad Lambert.
Yeah, I think that's kind of been the consensus for Lambert is, man, you are going to have this guy in developmental for a while, trying to really hone his decision-making and, a lot of the skills on the ice, but it definitely feels like Savoie is going to be a lot more polished product. And if you're worried about, how the Red Wings are going to handle their current core and you want a guy that's a little bit more ready, this is probably a direction you want to go in instead of, by the time Lambert's ready to go, I don't know if Bertuzzi and Larkin are still going to be part of this team anymore. So this might be a little bit safer one based on the timeline. And then what's kind of interesting, again, is if you really like reading the tea leaves, depending on what Yzerman picks, if he does pick Lambert, that might be a spot where you're, kind of going, oh, maybe this is going to be a kind of a crushing offseason where we trade away assets to get more draft picks. But if you're picking up Savoie, I think that could be an indicator that, this is Yzerman thinks they're a little bit closer than, some of the pessimists might feel, and that they're only a couple players away from, being a fringe playoff team and, start to be a regular in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's actually an amazing point. And I guess we're just going to have to keep checking in on that as we roll through the off season, because every move that we make is essentially going to tell that story. Now, I was wondering if this was going to be my play where he's passing it through somebody's legs that's trying to block a shot, and just how crazy that that would be to hope for that and depend on that as someone moves along through the season. Now this is another one too. Like we called this out with Nazar and we called it out with Lambert, and it's this is like decision making that's pretty aggressive, is going straight at the net. And what we're highlighting here is some of his playmaking ability and passing. So this is something where that's going to be the end game, is this pass, but he's going directly at the net, fighting through a couple defenders, of course, using his speed, which I argue all the time. When you have a guy that's got skates like this, the ability to skate like this, you got to see him use it. And this is where, this is how he's creating offense, is using that speed to get around defensemen. A pretty aggressive choice here to go straight at the net. We've seen guys in the past that will pull up and then they'll let the play start from the backside. And, Savoie's position, of course, is going to ask him to get a little bit closer to the net. But even with a couple guys gunning for him, he still goes right for it. I like it. It's I'm not ready to call him scrappy, but it's aggressive.
What I'll say too is that previous highlight where he, took that puck behind the net. And there's multiple defenders. Like he's getting that extra attention. Obviously you can kind of point to that being kids. How disciplined are these defenders if they're, like multiple guys going for one skater going behind the net. You know, what ultimately is going to be the goal defensively if you're wasting all that manpower on one guy. But I mean, it just kind of, for me, crystallizes, you know, how much speed this guy has, how much know-how he has, that he deserves that kind of attention, you know, as an opponent, as a guy you would game plan for. So, yeah, I just, in a nutshell, it kind of feels like what you're going to be getting is, you know, he's talented enough that he's going to draw that much attention.
Real quick, I got to call out. It's happening in the chat again, Mike.
Hit me.
Johnny P's getting it going. Do we get Trotz? Our buddy Mike throws out, I hope. Johnny, again, do you think it happens? Mike says sign Trotz to 3 years. Eric Johnson thrown out there. I think Trotz wants a quote-unquote closer team. Eric, I'm right there with you, bud. Johnny P, sign him to 5 if that's what it takes. Mike thrown out there just real quick. Savoie, not Savoie. Savoie. I didn't see anything on pronunciation. Let me see if I can find one.
We probably won't actually learn until he's drafted and he corrects all of us.
Yeah, Elite Prospects says Matthew Savoie. I like Savoie. That's way more fun.
As a former citizen of Detroit, I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's how we throw it out there. Johnny P, sign him to 5 years. I don't know if Trotz.
Does he have that many years left in the tank?
Yeah, is that more appealing to Trotz? No, you're gonna stick around in this dog shit. Well, hopefully not for long, but you're projecting a little bit longer than we thought in regards to the 3 to 5 years.
Can I throw out one while we're on Trotz, just for a quick second? Can I throw one thing out? Because you know, I mentioned if you're drafting Lambert, it's kind of an indication that you know, they don't see this core contending, and we're probably going to be moving more big pieces. If they sign Trotz, is that an indication that, again, Yzerman, you know, feels a lot better about this current core, and that if we sign Trotz, we're going to be big players in free agency? I don't think you sign a guy like that and then, you know, kind of nickel and dime on the peripheral. I think you're saying that, you know, we're an Edvinsson and a center, you know, away from being a playoff team.
I wonder too if he agreed to come to Detroit, if that's part of the agreement where he's like, all right, but we got to get, like his conversation is, what I can do with a team defensively. You know what I can do with goaltenders. Just give me a couple extra guys, give Trotz, some say on things. And I know that breaks the Yzer plan, but I feel like that would have to be the agreement for him to come aboard. Now, how long does that last?
Do you
Where guys are the Islanders drafting right now?
Do you guys remember that movie Kingpin? And they're like, I don't want to get Munson, Roy Munson out in the middle of nowhere. I feel like for like hockey coaches, it's like, hey, I don't want to get Blatchelled. What do you mean? You're just totally abandoned by your GM, and they don't do anything to pick up any good players, and you're just kind of playing with playing cards with no hand. You know what I mean? To get Blatchelled out in the middle of nowhere. So I wonder if that's part of the negotiations. I'm not going to get Blatchelled, am I? You're going to sign somebody, make some moves. I got to win some games here,
I wonder, too, how likely it is we see just another transition guy. I know we don't want to do that, but...
No. Not this time. No.
Danimal's aboard. My daughter, Ava, says hi. Hi,
hey, Ava.
How you doing?
Also, I like the yogurt name. I like Danimals.
Exactly. I was thinking that, too. Johnny P says exactly Mike. There you go. I think that was to you. Could be Mike in regards to Savoie. But anyway, I've been skipping over some highlights here, Mike, because they show Savoie's shooting ability, which I would give a passing grade to. It looks pretty nice, but I mean, what are we going to see? We're going to see him shoot the puck, so that's fine.
I will say it doesn't quite yet look like Verano. And I don't know, would you put it on par with Lucas or just like a shade below?
Ooh. Yeah. If I had to
So I'll say Verona top shelf.
Lucas or Verona, it's definitely closer to Lucas.
Yeah.
I mean, that's he was taking similar looking shots as well, which is probably something to call out in the highlights. It's the guy that was using his position, kind of making that stretch of his own body, and still able to get off a strong hard wrister or a snapshot. This wasn't a guy that was lining up slap shots or anything like that in any of his highlights, but I think that is key. I think again, you come back to a guy who's 5'9" and he's able to. I'm going to say he can take advantage of that body again. Like we were talking about, let's take advantage of your skating abilities. Take advantage of your height because you could actually use those big bodies around you to hide a little bit. And when he's stretching himself, he's got a defender in front of him. The goaltender can't quite make out exactly as he would with any other player what's going on. And when I say stretching, what he's doing is getting that leverage on one side of his body and moving the stick out to the outside so that actually when he fires the shot off, which he still had a great amount of power with, he's able to get a better angle on the goalie, which, so, I mean, you could look at that and say that's basic NHL hockey, but I mean, this is a kid who's making it work for him in the full speed of the game. Nothing like it was, oh, here's a breakaway highlight. No, this is just regular old 3-on-3, 2-on-3. This is setting up a play on the power play, and he's doing that consistently, and I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things too. I think at this point, again, if you land on the consolidated rankings, you land on Bob McKenzie's rankings. It looks like Savoie should be gone by the time the Red Wings are picking 8th. But you talk about his height, other teams being afraid of 5'9", and you could kind of sniff out a path how it's possible for the Wings to see him at number 8, especially since there's so many people like Craig Button, like elite prospects, have him at 17 and number 9 respectively. So it's possible. I'll say that. I think this draft has, I don't know. I think it could go in I don't think it's set. I'll say that. I think even the Hockey News had Savoie like going like 10 or 11. So it's all over the place. So I'm just going to say this is still a possibility. If he's available, I take him. If it's between Savoie, Lambert, Nazar, oh boy. I don't know if I'm ready for this hot take.
I think I feel like that's the harder debate,
Nazar.
right?
I feel like with what we've looked at the last 3 weeks, I feel like I'd go Nazar. How do you feel? Lambert is, and Tristan, when you're listening to this later, he's last right now. He's last on my list.
I think if we're going to stick to that same idea that if the Red Wings are supportive of this current core and they see something that they can actually make some noise in the playoffs, I don't think you can pick Lambert. I think that is I would kind of yeesh if they did that. So it's probably a little bit of the recency bias. This guy, he does have some speed to him. He does look like he's a pretty good playmaker. He's kind of got a shot like Lucas Raymond. It's not quite at the Verona level, but give me Savoie.
Yeah, and I think too, like we keep talking about looking for a center.
Yeah.
Lambert seems like the guy who's going to lose that position, and they're trying to make him work any way possible. Savoie probably second on that list to the possibility of losing the center position. I'd say Nazar, to me, looked like the most solid in that center role.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I'm going to stick with Nazar and say that he to me seemed like the most solid all around guy that weaknesses wise had the fewest. So I want to see that work because we're going to sit here and say Larkin's a 1C.
Yeah.
So we need a 2C. And I think, you know what? And that's not to say Savoie can't do that either. I think I just right now feel better about Nazar than Savoie, and I'd take either one of them in a heartbeat. And if they're both gone, which I don't think will be the case, then you could start the conversation about maybe trading back and picking up Lambert. That's a juicy conversation. But we did get a good question, Mike.
Yeah.
Also, want to throw out there, Ava thrilled with the call out.
Hey, yeah, glad you're here.
Danimal's not thrown out. So many choices at 8. Tough choices. It comes out on top. This question, though, I wanted to call out real quick. Head coach named before or after draft? Mike, you want to take that one first?
I will, because I got to think it's an easy answer. I don't know why you would like complete your whole draft without your head coach already there to kind of help with decisions. And then like we just talked about with who you draft, whether or not it's a guy who's a little bit more polished and maybe a year away from being in the NHL rather than 3 to 4 years away.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say before. And then basically that coach is going to kind of indicate, which direction this draft goes in, whether it is a guy who's more about developing young guys or a guy who's ready to, tell some guys to nut up and we're not screwing around anymore. We're not going to play like crap halfway through the year. We're going to be in the playoffs. So I would absolutely say before, because they got to be part of the vision. They got to be part of the whole process, the whole talent evaluation process.
I agree 100%. Michael Script thrown in there. Play him on a line with Rasmussen and Soderblom. You would get lost in the trees.
Hey, that worked for Lord of the Rings. Merry and Pip on the backs of the Ents. That was pretty successful. So I like that idea.
Johnny P, Eric Johnson, both on board with getting our coach before the draft. Johnny P also coming up with Savoie the boy toy.
Ooh, like that.
Danimals, hopefully before. I think Trotz asked for time to consider his choices, so might be a bit. Well, that's another thing, too. Like, you could force Trotz to hurry up if you start to see other teams around picking up their new head coach. So
the longer he goes without a team, I've already fetishized coaches out of the SHL. Because I feel like we already sent out our developmental guys there. Let's just get somebody who already kind of knows them, some familiarity. But the longer this goes without Trotz having a team, the Red Wings not having a coach, it kind of looks like the direction they're probably going in.
Yeah, and I like this comment here. We'll kind of wrap up the show. Johnny P, I think Yzerman names a coach before, even if Trotz is still available. I agree with that. I think it's more important to, like, you don't need to play these games. I've said a million times, and I think Yzerman said this too, and he was talking about patience. And I think for you to be the most patient, and Yzerman claims to be the most patient of all of us that want the Red Wings to win the Stanley Cup. To be the most patient, you don't change things. You don't change your plans to make sure you land a single coach, to make sure you land a single free agent. I think you need a broader plan, a long-term plan that can't depend on, ooh, what if this guy doesn't sign with his team? Then we can pick him up in free agency, and now we're good, right? Like I understand there's a point where free agents you're picking guys up to make. It seems like at that point you were picking somebody up, you absolutely will be overpaying. But I prefer the free agent pickups to be at the point where how do I want to put this? We have a solid team that could probably make it to the playoffs, but there's another spot where you can make an iterative upgrade, and that's where I want to see the free agent pickups. And it can be a first line forward, but if you're going to overpay, actually, I'd prefer it to be an elite skater, because when you overpay an elite skater compared to overpaying a middle six forward, you end up overpaying for what you get from the elite skater. So that's a whole nother conversation for another day. But again, I think the plan here is to keep working through the draft and find trades that make sense. Because if you go back to Tampa Bay, we talked about that last week, right? Everybody that Tampa Bay has is from the draft or from a trade, or I should say, a majority of everyone.
Right.
I don't know why Yzerman would change that. It's probably a longer game that we have to play than Tampa, because Tampa they got pretty lucky. I mean, you've got a Hedman before Yzerman even starts, and then you're bringing in Stamkos, Braden Point, Kucherov work out as later round draft picks, or I should, later than the first round draft pick. So that kind of thing, like, that's the game Yzerman wants to play. Can Bergeron end up being near Braden Point? That's a lot.
Can
But
you be
you
a
know what I
Braden
mean?
Point type? Yeah.
Can you find that? Has that already been drafted? That fast forwards everything we're talking about to the nth degree. But I think that's the proper way to do it. And Steve's already done it. And Mike, part of our conversation today was going to be about the playoffs, but I think it's okay we wrap up. I'm going to say, here's my hot take on the playoffs. Rangers are not beating the Lightning. Colorado doesn't look equipped to beat the Lightning. My God, the Lightning are going to win 3 cups in a row. I feel pretty confident about that right now. And that's a team that Yzerman built.
Yeah, not a super hot take. They're just stacked offensively, defensively.
Right,
they got the best
right.
goalie. But the other thing that we like to talk about on the show is marketing this league. And what a godsend it was to put the Oilers and their horrible defense in the conference finals, because I actually had people at work who are normally only talking about football or basketball, talking about how exciting the NHL game was.
Yeah.
So I mean, that kind of up and down play, and it was competitive. I mean, Colorado was still clearly better. But the other team had the best player in the world on their team. So it was still, an up and down, close 8-6 hockey game. So I don't know if the purists want to see that. I know they might prefer more of a defensive struggle, 1-0 with, some more forechecking, back checking, and, some fisticuffs. But I mean, sometimes watching electricity on the ice, and 14 goals in one regular season game, or a regulation game, pretty damn entertaining. So I wouldn't mind seeing more of that. I would like to see a pretty crazy over under for total goals in that series. God, we've already set the bar is at 14, Matt.
Well, I like Eric's comment here. To be the man, you got to beat the man. So
are we going to see 60 goals in that series?
Well, I was going to bring it back to Tampa, but that's a good question. I got to think, like, Colorado still has a lot of good defensemen. At some point, that's got to get locked up if they can get goaltending figured out, right? I mean, you're talking about a couple backup goaltenders in that game, too. Didn't really help anything. Right. So, yeah, if goaltending can get figured out, obviously. Duh, what a dumb thing to say.
Are you going over or under 60 goals?
I'm going to go under.
I'm going over.
I think like the next game might be like 3 or 4-0 Colorado. Maybe 3 or 4-1.
Maybe. I don't know, man. I'm feeling a 9-7 ski. I think it's coming.
Johnny's got Edmonton in the finals.
Yeah, Johnny P.
Mike's got Oilers in the finals. Danimals. Chaos in the West has been entertaining. That is damn right. Even a 5-game series, Edmonton and Calgary, that was one of the best 5-game series I've ever seen. That was a, I don't know. It was a 7-game, 5-game series. I don't know. I think sometimes people say it was a 5-game sweep. That was 7 games worth of 5 games. I don't know how to put it. You guys know what I'm trying to say. It was a beautiful series. I loved it. The battle for Alberta lived up to the hype. Even missing 2 games. Could you imagine Game 7? Oh my God. Like 12-11, just nonsense. Pull both goalies.
But yeah, I mean, you're right with Tampa. It's kind of cool. We're in the midst of the Yzerman dynasty. Just not in Detroit yet. So Yzerman's dynasty down there, and then hopefully we can start another one up here. And then really like all that offense. Fun to watch.
So sunset time. We promised shorter episodes. Not that you guys wanted shorter episodes, but we've just got.
We've promised it to loved ones, and we have not come through.
That's true.
Sorry, loved ones.
Yeah, significant others wanted shorter episodes. We promised it. They did not get it. You wanted the best. You didn't get the best. It's a Kiss reference.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem. Oh, real quick, Justin Shields. What do you guys think about Detroit taking on Sean Monahan contract of 1 year, giving him a fresh start? Can I confess I don't know what that contract looks like?
I'm trying to scramble to pick it up, and I didn't have it ready for us here.
Cap friendly ain't working. All right. Sean Monahan, 6.375 mil.
I mean, we'd really be bailing them out, right?
I don't know. I like Monahan.
I'm just saying he shocked the world back in like the 18-19 season with an 82 bomb for points, and then he's kind of 48, 28, 23 this year.
And I guess at 1 year it doesn't hurt me at all. So Justin, we're still talking about weaponizing our cap here.
I would do it if we get a pick. If we get a pick.
I guess I don't really have a problem with it. I don't know how bad is Calgary in their cap issues, right, for next year.
Who posted that one? Justin? I mean, Justin, this is right in Yzerman's wheelhouse, right? I mean, a guy of, former first round pick, 6th overall, who, is underperforming a little bit. So I like the idea a lot. Definitely, Yzerman set precedent with that. But I think Steve would probably ask for a draft pick if he's doing a cap favor for another team, just because Monahan has not quite earned that 6 mil.
I mean, yeah, we've got a couple of huge contracts that Calgary's got to get done. Actually, we've got 3. They're also half their defense, unrestricted free agents. But then Killington, restricted free agent. Kachuk, restricted free agent, and Mangiapane, restricted free agent, who is one of the guys we talked about. Is this could that be a possible steal? Like picking up an RFA and trying to give them our own offer. Doesn't seem likely now. So you've got all those contracts that need to get signed. So it does seem likely that Calgary's going to have to move them. But yeah, I think, Justin, I would come back to, this is a move that gives you a ton of flexibility, because if things work out and Monahan can give you what he's like looking at, like a half a point per game, maybe less, I guess. Yeah, less than a half a point per game. It's still a 1 year contract, and it's not going to hurt you that long. So, right? Like, so
pretty low risk, you're saying?
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I do it depending on, it doesn't even have to be that juicy of a return either. I like spending the Red Wings money. I know Steve doesn't. So I think it's funny. We say it's right up our wheelhouse. How many contracts have we really bought with a draft pick? Picked up Mark Stahl and...
are we going to count Letty since his deal's expiring? Isn't it?
Well, he's also was traded, so you mean...
I know, but I mean like a guy you pick up for that.
I don't know, because we gave up...
I meant more, like the Fabries, the Berlinis, former first-round picks who haven't quite panned out. So not necessarily his. So it's kind of a hybrid, right? A former first rounder, highly touted first rounder, on one end, but then it's also, an opportunity to weaponize cap. So it kind of hits two birds with one stone. A reclamation project and then a low risk, because we're going to still have a clean cap sheet because you're only keeping the guy for a season unless he performs.
Yeah. Oh, you know who I completely forgot to, and I just saw it in the comments. How about Johnny Goudreau? That contract, he's also got to get a new one. Just realized he's on that. Cap Friendly has completely reorganized their team pages, so you don't get like the top performers at the top of the list anymore. He's buried at the bottom because he's an unrestricted free agent now, so he's just riffraff on this list. It's kind of funny how they have this built out now that we're technically like Calgary's technically in the off season, so he's just buried at the bottom of this list. But yeah, probably want to get that contract worked out as well. But yeah, we'll wrap up. I like weaponizing the cap. I would just say Richard Panik, that was our other one. Where it was part of the Verana trade, but the argument was we got an extra draft pick because we were taking Panik's contract. So we got Stahl and Panik. And that's the two times I can think of that we actually weaponized the cap. Is my point.
Well, we have a brand new offseason to try it again.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would keep Monahan outside of the conversation of like Fabry because what did we pick up Fabry and he was like 23, 24. Monahan just keeps getting older. Some much heavier contract to take on. I think this is definitely more in the Stahl Panik range, even though he's much younger than those two because you're just eating this cap. Okay. So yeah, I do it. Give me good draft picks. Give me a bad draft pick. Who cares? It's the Red Wings money. I don't care. I don't think we're gonna sign big free agents. No. I mean, that's the difference, right? If you think we're gonna pick up some big name free agents, then we're done weaponizing the cap. But if we go a couple weeks into free agency, no big moves.
Yeah.
All right, we gotta wrap up. Sorry, Mike. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Good question there, Justin. Oh, you're still. Oh, there it goes. Good question there, Justin. I like the conversation. Good thought. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Head on over to Apple Podcasts, subscribe, rate, and reviews. Spotify, you could rate us as well. And of course, you're watching on YouTube right now. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. You guys won't miss the show. Thank you for tuning in. Go Red Wings. I've never done that before. Why did I do that? That was weird. All right.